Yeah.
Put a
Put a lamp on.
Honestly.
Do we have a lamp? Do we have access to a lamp? I've got heaps if you ever need them.
You, babe.
You ever want more lamps? I've got heaps of lamps.
You've got natural light.
Yeah. You've turned off the overhead. You've got natural light. I've got
a little light that I can clip onto my phone. Like there's so much you can do.
Yeah, there really is.
Basic.
Fix it up. Fix it up.
Fix it up.
It's a PSA.
As Dizzy Rascal said, fix up, look sharp.
One of my favourite songs.
It's a great song.
It's a great track.
It was my ringtone for a while.
Is it really? That's pretty cool.
And then I stopped having my phone on ever.
Oh, I haven't
don't
had
even know what my ringtone is.
Probably Crazy Frog.
I know it because I had Chris. He was the only one that if he called, it would ring through. So that's the only reason I know what my ringtone is. But when people are like, oh, I'm sorry, did you have your phone on at night? I'm like, I never have my phone on.
No,
it's never
Not
happened.
only is
Hope
it,
I'm not waking you. Impossible.
it's not only not just on silent, it's not on vibrate ever.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, Claire, finally. Why do other people have their phone on vibrate?
Why? Why do you want
I've
to
never
know?
had mine on. It's worse even when people had like the clicks on, when they're typing a text.
That's for people over 60.
It's really cute though.
Yeah.
I get it. It's really fun.
It is. Was
Putting
it
the
touch
clicks
tone?
on.
It is funny. Yeah.
It's fun.
Are you ready for kicking off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Confessions. Everyone wants to confess. Not everyone wants to hear them. Today, I am joined by two wonderful people, two people I'm a huge fan of. Welcome back, Claire Hooper.
Thanks, Sammy.
I promise you're on camera. I promise that's not the only preview as well. This is actually
I feel like I'm just on the edge of the camera.
You're right in there. So this little preview only shows like a tiny bit of what it is. I promise you that you both are on. Imagine if I had it and it's only of the wall and half your face.
Just that? Just that.
I'm a bit like a Wes Anderson type. I really mix it up.
Oh, we watched the clips. It was like looking at a moving Picasso.
Great review. I'll use that as a soundbite. And for the first time, so I'm a huge fan. I've never met before, but I'm a huge fan of this person. I used to watch them all the time when I started in the Melbourne comedy scene. I was about to say the Melbourne international comedy scene. I remember watching you at Soft Ballet Comedy Club.
Wow.
Absolutely love it. Years and years ago. The wonderful Felicity. Well, welcome.
Hi, I forgot I hadn't been introduced. I've got some opinions.
Now, you two are both doing Melbourne International Comedy Festival shows. Now, we're releasing the last week of the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. So
that's the only week I'm doing. So that is great timing.
It's actually perfect.
Yeah, thanks very much. This would have been unhelpful next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just talking about the shows that were.
Yeah.
Not helpful at all. Now, what's your show about this year, Felicity?
Nothing. It's absolutely
a stand-up show.
It's a stand-up show. I mean, look, there's a bunch of material that is about being pregnant and having a kid.
Yeah.
But I would not say that the show is about that. It's just an hour of jokes.
Hour of laughs.
And chaos.
Yep.
I mean, Claire was actually in the show last night.
It was magnificent.
It was chaotic.
Yeah, I was trying to describe it to Felicity what it's like watching her, because obviously it's like it gets hysterical. So it's like, there's funny shows and then there's just that bit where everybody's losing their mind.
Yep.
Because Felicity is so scattered and yet so intensely focused. Like it's an amazing thing to watch a comedian be both of those things at once.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why? Like I write my shows very, very, very thoroughly, and so what that means, what that means is then I can go off on whatever tangent that I want, and if it doesn't work, I still have the train tracks to come back to.
Yeah.
Whereas where it looks, I imagine, like at some points I really don't know what I'm doing.
Or
that's the beauty of it. That's fun.
I wonder if it look. I mean, I know you
know
too well, but I think it does look like it's almost like you've written this watertight show, and then you spend the entire hour yelling at the show. You can't tell me what to do.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Fighting against the structure.
Yeah, fighting against the structure. Even though I really like the show that I've written.
Yeah, that's great. That's so fun.
I think that's the undiagnosed ADHD bit of me,
and
it's. But
one of the funniest bits of the show, incidentally.
Was that ADHD bit?
The undiagnosed.
Oh, yeah.
Every bit of the show is one of the funniest bits.
Yeah, of course. That's a great review. You shut up. You quit that. Yeah. Well, I'm seeing the show tomorrow night and I absolutely cannot wait. And wonderful Claire Hooper, you've got a brand new show as well.
That's right. You've missed 14 of the shows, Sammy, but thank you so much for finally getting me on. To be honest, though, the last week is the weird one to sell. So it would be, if anyone's listening who likes going out on a Wednesday, you don't even have to see me. Just see anyone at the festival and they'll cry tears of gratitude.
Yes.
The Wednesday and the final week of festival.
Brutal.
It's Brutal.
Yeah. And tonight, so this podcast is coming out on the day we're recording.
I
So
know.
Wednesday, go today. What are you doing?
Go
What are you
today.
doing with your
What are you
life?
doing?
Just stop. Put that down.
comedyfestival.com.au/Claire Hooper or Felicity Ward.
Yeah.
That's probably the handle. It's the full tag is all
Yeah,
Felicity
yeah.
Ward. You only get for both of you. It's a double combo. You can do the double as well.
You can do the double.
can
It
do
might
the
even
double.
be a laugh pack night.
I wonder. It'd be
Yeah.
a beautiful back-to-back. You know, you can just warm up. With
You
a
can
little
saunter down. You
bit
don't have to run.
Of Hooper silliness.
Yeah.
And then, it's...
You got 20 minutes.
You got even more than 20 minutes. You got just over half an hour to walk
Perfect.
around the
You're
corner,
doing a
get a
type 50.
drink in the Vic bar. And no, I finish at 8:40.
Okay,
She
sorry.
starts at 9:15. Don't you
How
dare
dare you.
question my mathematics.
Actually disgusting.
If
what I've
there's
done.
anything-
Sorry, guys.
I even do a bit of maths in my show. Not that that's a selling point. And
I don't. I try.
you talk about numbers when you talk about Specsavers discounts. Again,
that's true.
not a good advertisement for the show. So do you know what, Felicity Ward? I was at a Best of the Fest at the Toffin Town last night, and there were so many people in from Specsavers, and I just was like,
How do you
I
know?
hope they find Felicity Ward's show.
How do you know?
Because the MC asked, you're here to get, you're from a work firm.
Amazing.
Where do you, Specsavers? There were so many people from Specsavers.
That's so interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Just having a great night out.
Yeah, right.
Specsavers night.
So did you have a gig after my show or it was before my show?
Before.
Okay, great. I was like, you were tired and
you
you were
feel like
going
during?
home. Did you lie to me? That's what I was wondering. That was my first thought. I'm like, oh, she betrayed me. Cool.
I like, you meant, did I lie to you? You phrased it in a kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's taken years. A lot of time going. Basically, every sentence that I ask or question that I ask is, did you abandon me? Every question. Did you have milk? Do you have oat milk?
Yeah.
You didn't have oat milk. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, he's abandoned me. That's every question I ask someone.
It's a bad start to the
That's
pod.
what I mean to ask.
That's the vibe.
Yeah, that's the vibe. Everything centers around that.
Is that next year's show title?
Oh, so you've abandoned me.
I think that's a great title.
That's a funny show.
Now, this podcast is all about the wonderful world of online confessions. Now, do you have any experience, Felicity, with confession at all? Were you raised Catholic, or do you have any experience with the wonderful world of confession?
Let me tell you about being raised Catholic. My dad is Catholic. I was not raised Catholic. However, to get into a Catholic high school, my sister had to become Catholic to get confirmed.
Yep.
And me, who was not going to that high school, said to my mother, I would also like to become Catholic. And she said, you don't need to. And I said, I understand. I've had a look at the pamphlet and I'd like to get involved.
I understood the assignment.
Yep.
Sign me up.
So I became a Catholic at age 9.
Do you remember what it was about the pamphlet in particular that...
Oh, it was
really
that I
inspired
grew
you?
up in a very chaotic, dysfunctional household. I'm like, what organisation?
Yeah, sure.
Confession once a week. Confirmation name. Yes, please. So my confirmation name is Patricia Margaret. I don't actually remember doing a lot of confession, to be honest, because we only had like a Church of England in our local town.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
okay.
at 9, I didn't have a driver's license. So,
All things to confess, maybe.
well, I think it's a pretty
Speak for
saucy
yourself.
9-year-old. I wasn't at all. I was terrified and do everything by the book. That's the thing. I'm very mouthy, but at my core, I am a rule follower. I
Yeah,
love
sure.
rules. I
Yeah.
love structure, organisation. Considered the army, genuinely.
Yeah. I imagine you're a bit like this, Claire.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Not the army, but...
Not the army. No, not the army. But I do love to follow rules.
Yeah. And your
just explain
podcast-
what they are. I will follow them.
Yeah.
Your podcast is all about when people actually confess in a way. They're confessing to the worst thing that they've done.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not so much tell me the worst thing you've ever done, because I have no legal team. But it is tell me a time when you were the worst.
Yeah.
And most people think of their story really quickly, because most people are carrying around something that might sound fairly benign to everyone else. But I
Yeah.
think it's almost always a moment where they were like, oh, I didn't think I was that person, but I know I am now.
Well, I told a story when I did a trivia night and was bombing for 20 minutes at a trivia night. It was just awful.
How can you bomb at trivia?
It was so, well, I wasn't meant to be there. That was the full thing. It was at the wrong pub. So I was just a random person that just got up and just started bombing for 20
nobody
minutes.
questioned him. He
No one
did the
questioned me.
full
That was
20.
the nicest people in the
How
world.
did you get a microphone?
Well, no, there was
I
a trivia
brought my
host.
own.
Yeah. There was a trivia host that just put the microphone down and they didn't introduce me and I just went up. Just had a few gigs on that night, a bit stressed about it, and just got up and just started telling them about my life. And they just watched for 20 minutes and it was just silence for 20
Where
minutes.
was that in Melbourne?
Yeah, the Imperial Hotel.
I love the at the Imperial.
Yeah, South Melbourne.
I'm thinking of the Imperial in Newtown in Sydney.
Oh, right, there, yeah.
Outrageous gay bar and drag scene. That I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's real.
I'm sure a trivia night would be better there than it was for me. It was a wonderful, but your podcast, wonderful podcast.
Thanks.
John
Yours too,
Hastings.
wonderful. Oh my gosh, John Hastings. Yep. And tomorrow.
One of the great men.
He's just
So great.
such a good man. And the comedy that comes from the fact that he identifies himself as looking completely redneck.
Yeah.
You know, like he's like, if I wear a red cap.
Yeah. MAGA.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's got he looks like a bully.
Yeah.
And he's the sweetest,
Yeah.
funniest, most brilliant man. I
Yeah.
love John Hastings.
About a month ago, I said to him, I have regularly talked about him being one of the good guys that doesn't call himself a good guy, which means he's a good guy. The
Yes.
good guys that call themselves good guys, you're like, red flag.
Yeah.
And I said to him, if you turn out to be not a good guy, I will. What's the swearing policy on
You
this?
can swear as much
I
as
was
you
like,
want.
I will fucking kill you. Because he's so.
What a sweet thing to say to him.
What-
I hope he understood that was the greatest compliment.
Yeah.
And threat. Understood the threat.
Yeah, well, he knows me, so he knows it's a real threat. But last time I was here at the comedy festival, I was like 7 weeks pregnant. Nobody knew. And I got put in an Airbnb that was right next to train tracks. And so I was like, waking up at whatever hour. And I was like, I've got to move. And I went up to John the night before I was moving and I said, John, can I have a word to you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm 7 weeks pregnant and I've got to move house and I don't think I should do it by myself. He's like, I'll be there at this time. And just came over and just moved apartments with me.
What a guy.
He's just like,
Yeah.
he's all the best parts of positive masculinity.
Yes, yeah.
And then all the best parts of not toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And also one of my the minute I knew I would love him was last year's comedy festival at the end of his ABC Comedy Bites set. He just put his hands up in the air and went, I've got the best show this festival, come and see it, and then walked off the stage.
What a plug. That's great.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, never occurred to me to say that.
You can.
I don't think
Imagine if everyone said
anyone
it.
usually says that.
Nobody does that on ABC Comedy Bites.
No.
But
not
you
the
can.
vibe.
You can now.
And
now
he's
you know.
Canadian. That's a very un-Canadian thing to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, I've found some... Oh, sorry.
Yes, please.
Oh,
no, I
yes.
was going to say, why is he not here today?
I know. Oh, he's too nice. He said, I simply cannot.
That's true.
He's like, you know what? Other people need this.
Yeah, that's right.
You step forward.
No, I found some wonderful, wonderful people on the wonderful website reddit.com.
Never heard of it. Up and coming, startup.
Yeah, little startup with lovely people, always lovely people. Now, confession one comes from gorgeous Dave. Dave confesses, I told my dad that I graduated doctor school when actually I'm out here walking as a barista and loving my life. It's quite nice. I also don't think it's called doctor school.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I feel like that's really flagged it as a lie, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I think so.
He tripped and broke his neck very quickly on the first hurdle there.
And he
In
couldn't
the
find
line.
a doctor because he didn't go to doctor school.
That's right, doctor school. My dad is a very straight-laced man who has been a doctor longer than he's been alive.
Okay, that's a shame because his dad probably will know that
Yeah.
it's not called doctor school.
Yeah, that is.
If you're bringing it up with your fake stethoscope. I imagine it's a kid's stethoscope.
That's made of plastic. That is.
He's a man who takes everything very seriously. A lot of the time, I will try and tell him a joke or tickle him.
Oh, what's going on?
You shouldn't be tickling your dad,
you shouldn't
your
be
serious
tickling your
dad all
dad.
the time.
How old are you if you're supposed to be in doctor school? That means your
Yeah.
dad's in his 60s?
Yeah,
No one's tickling a 60-year-old.
no,
That's
it
creepy.
is creepy. But he has never laughed at anything I've ever done. I understand with all the tickling, I think.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I've never laughed at being tickled either.
No.
Haven't you?
No, I don't laugh. I just get angry.
That's, yeah.
I thrash around and I squeal.
There's a
That's
lot
not
of people that
laughter.
hate getting tickled, like hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, right.
What? Who likes
People
being
call it a form of
tickled?
torture, don't they? For tickling for too long. It's like a form of torture.
Tickling's awful.
I don't mind it.
Ooh.
I'm
It's
not
fun for a
very
little bit.
I'm not very ticklish though. My mum can tickle me just under my neck. That's ticklish, but I'm not very, very ticklish, but I don't mind it. Also, I've got a 4-year-old and he's got a cousin who is 7 months older. His cousin goes, tickle me, loves being tickled.
Wow.
My son does not like being tickled. He'll do it for a little bit and he'll really laugh and then he's like, stop, mummy, I don't like it. I'm like, all right.
Fair enough.
These
Move
are the
on.
good tickle years, mate. You wait till you get older, you get angry. I'll give you Claire Hooper's number.
Last week, I told him the funniest story I've ever heard, where I caught my friend Kathy a pretend fish in an ocean and handed it to her.
This is all bullshit.
Yeah.
I find it very hard to engage in this story.
It's a lot of information as well. All of this bullshit about the
Kathy?
cash.
Who cares?
Who cares about Kathy?
Yeah, stick to this story. What's the confession?
Well, I'm going to read this really quickly, so we'll get past this bit.
So maybe if we stop continuously interrupting you, do you think that'll help?
I seriously think it took her 10 minutes to figure out if it was a fake fish, not unlike one cat would have to play with. Ha, 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 ha. Not just a general practitioner, but an actual doctor, donating years of his life to study in the world's oldest profession. The other week, he asked me how I was progressing with medical school. For context, this was after I told him that story about Kathy with the fish that he didn't laugh at. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't in the mood generally for general chit-chat or another one of my funny stories.
Neither are we.
I told him that I had just graduated and it wouldn't be long before I was getting a job in a hospital. He commented that it wouldn't be long before I left that silly cafe and got into the world of saving lives. I told him that sometimes you feel like you're saving lives with people's first coffees of the day. Mm-hmm. He didn't laugh at that either. Mm. And I was now at a loss. I just really like someone over-explaining all the jokes that didn't quite land.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there was a
They
massive
didn't work
payoff.
once.
No.
They're not working in the retail.
They're not working on Reddit.
We saw that in my show last night. And I explained a joke, the punchline that I mucked up.
I enjoyed that very much.
I've told my father something that is not true, and for the life of me, I don't know how I can come clean. I'm 34 years old, for context. So he's tickling his dad at 34 years old.
He's 34 and he's going to doctor school at
Yes.
34. This smells worse than Kathy's fake fish.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
And he is well over 65. How do I make this right?
Why would you say well over 65? Why don't you say his age?
He's 65.
What are you saving? Why are you rounding?
Well over. Well
This
over.
is-
We don't really know
Well,
how
to be
much
honest,
over.
though, I do spend a lot of time not knowing my parents' age.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll just be like, look, all I know is it's over 60.
But wouldn't you just say,
you say well over?
Wouldn't you say in your 60s?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
you're well over. It's like what? So
Say 80?
90?
Yeah. Whoa.
What are we talking about?
You're just confusing
Is this
everybody.
is this a chat GPT?
It could be. It could be. It could be. My mother is a very
It's not
supportive
good enough
woman.
for chat. Oh no, there's
There's
more.
more. There's
Oh
only
my
a little
God.
bit more. I
It's
promise.
not
there's
good
a little
enough
bit.
for ChatGPT,
It's not.
is
It's
it?
not. There wouldn't. The Kathy fish story wouldn't be in there.
That's the bit I do think is AI.
She used to work as a clerical clerk and now she's retired and has a real green thumb. She could own a nursery. Anyway, Mum will accept if I'm happy, but my dad will be upset if he knows I've lied to him for the last 7 years.
Well, you've lied to us.
Lied to us now. We're very upset about the whole thing. What would you do, Felicity, in a situation like this? If you've lied, just pretend this is real for 2 seconds.
Very hard. One, these I don't sit well with lies. This is
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
rule following thing. I was actually a compulsive liar when I was a kid.
Were you?
Just
Where does that factor into the loving of structure and rules?
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
There was just I just didn't
Is that
like
the
being
truth then?
caught.
Yeah,
I didn't like being caught. No, compulsive liar is an absolute exaggeration of what I was. But there are like once my nan gave me this giant bald doll, like baby doll. It had no hair because bald. That's usually the giveaway. And I hated it, and so I drew pen hair on it, and then Nanny found it. I'd hid it under the bed, and I was like 3 or 4, and she said, "Who did this?" And I went through and systematically blamed every one of my 10 cousins. And then she gave me a reason as to why it wouldn't be them. And then she said, "So it wasn't them, so who was it?" And I said, "You did it, Nanny." Let me tell you, my Irish Catholic nanny was not impressed that I had blamed her for drawing on her present.
It's an amazing lie, though, to look her in the eye and say,
Yeah,
you did it.
what nuts. You did it, Nanny.
You did it.
And Nanny was like tough. She was an
Yeah.
austere woman.
Yeah,
She was,
sure.
She was like ex-military.
Yeah.
I don't know what I
Is
was
that
thinking.
why you wanted to join the army?
A little bit. My grandpa was in the Navy, and then my other two grandparents were in the army.
Right. Okay. Wow.
But we weren't. But none of their kids went into the military at all,
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
or the armed services.
We'll get back to beautiful
Oh,
Dave.
yeah.
Did your nanny live long enough to see you become a comedian?
Yeah, she did.
What did she think?
So Nan was like tough. She didn't like women. But the last time I spoke to her, I was on a road show. I was in WA, I remember, and it was maybe her 80th. And I thought, I'll give her a call. And I didn't speak to her much. We lived in a different state. She was in Queensland. And I called her and we had a chat. And the last thing she said to me, and this is why I never spoke to her ever again afterwards. She said, Felicity. I went, yeah. She goes, we saw you on the TV the other night. I went, oh, did you, Nan? She goes, we're all very proud of you. And I was like, oh, don't move. She's saying something nice. And I was like, oh, thanks, Nan. She goes, yeah, we always have been. We're all very proud of you. And then that was the last thing. And I didn't want to have another conversation just in case she said
Anything
something
else negative or
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so she'd
Wow.
never said anything about it ever.
Wow.
So
that was the only time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful?
yeah, that's beautiful. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I come from a family of too much praise, which is something I'm analysing in my comedy festival show this year.
What's too much praise like? Talk to me about that.
Well, it makes you a monster. You're always surprised when you fail because you're like, my mummy told me I could do anything.
Well, I'm surprised when I fail and I loathe myself. So
I loathe myself too.
Oh,
We are
interesting.
such good friends.
With all that praise, but you got all the praise and you still loathe yourself.
Nurture, nature.
Yeah, it's lovely. Isn't it lovely?
We're a walking experiment. So I have to imagine one that I had the capacity to lie this badly. Oh, God.
And you feel ashamed for some reason. I don't know why he feels so ashamed about being a barista when I guess it's just because his dad has put this on
This
him
is
being
the
like,
other
got to
thing.
be a doctor.
I'm from a working class, pretty poor family. So there was, I literally talk about it at the beginning of the show. I've never had any pressure
Yep.
to do anything beyond what I want. And I've always been very ambitious. So,
Yep.
if I went to school, if I went to uni, if I didn't go to uni, whatever. I went to TAFE. I did a certificate in music business skills.
Music business?
Music business, yeah.
wow.
Is that like the show business?
It's like licensing and band management and
Similar. The
That'll-
business side. the
That'll
business
get you
end.
puss.
yeah, that's right. Well, I'm hoping so. If any,
One day.
one day,
You dream big.
if this comedy thing doesn't work out, I might go into band management, event management. But I used to put on like gigs when I was a kid, like as a teenager and stuff like that. So, and I
that's
was in a
lovely.
band and So music was my first love before
yeah, okay.
comedy, way before comedy.
Is there any music? Do you ever have music in your shows at all?
When I first started, I played guitar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I only had like one or two songs, and then it's easier to not have a guitar in a show. It's really easy to travel without a guitar.
I think Josh Earl's been finding that over the last few years.
Yes, babe. Yes, my first ever full show was it required 2 suitcases full of
my
props
God.
and equipment, and at the end of it, I was like,
What am I doing?
I'm prop free now.
Yeah.
I haven't been entirely prop free, but gosh, it's good when you got nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
What sort of props did you have?
Puppets?
Did I have puppets? I can't
'Cause
even
you
remember
used to
if I had
puppet.
puppets. I had T-shirts with slogans on them and tape recorders and I don't know, little captions that I could hold above audience members' heads to pretend they were saying that thing. I don't know. There was
Fake
just
fish.
a whole bunch of
Fake fish.
So many fake
Called Kathy.
fish.
Funny stories like
Was the friend called Kathy or the fish called
friend.
Kathy? Now,
Sorry.
I don't know. I could have got it wrong. Yeah. What do you do? It is. I understand this idea that what your parents expect of you, you feel really compelled to do. Because I, like you, Felicity, have never had parental pressure to choose a particular occupation. I
good.
was really academically strong,
Same.
and they could have leaned on me to do more with that, like capitalize on that, and they watched me wander into arts.
after
Squander your
horticulture.
brains.
Squandering. But then I feel like there are these subtle things that I picked up from them. Like, I know this is a ridiculous thing to say, but I remember my dad repeatedly saying, like, he liked that my mum had long hair, and he used to say, I just like long hair. And I internalized that. It was ages before I ever cut my hair short because I just thought, well, Dad likes the long hair.
Dad likes the long hair.
Yeah.
And he never said you should keep your hair long, and it wasn't some sick thing. It was just
He said, "Stop tickling me."
What I'm saying is, it's just really I never.
Well over
If
65.
you cut your hair, you won't be able to tickle me. How will you tickle me? In
Move
the
your hair,
armpits
I
with
can't
your
tickle
long
exactly.
tresses?
It's a great character. I like this character you're working on.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying. I feel like we take on our parents' expectations,
Yeah.
even if they don't intend to put them on us.
Yeah. You need to say something. You need to say. You can't just pretend now to be a doctor
Can't
after doctor
pretend
school.
to be a doctor.
No, it's impossible.
I mean, yeah. It's,
Oh no, you
it's
can't.
very
Dirty-
Nick Riviera.
Yeah,
You know?
Dr. Death did it for a bit, I think.
Yeah.
You can't maintain that lie.
No.
That's a really hard one to pretend.
Yeah.
Easier the other way around. Like if you were a doctor pretending to be a barista, heaps easier.
Well,
to
that's
Yeah,
just like
that's
being
right.
undercover.
yeah.
That's
Undercover
fine.
doctor.
Undercover doctor.
In a
I'd watch
cafe.
that show.
I would absolutely.
Is there a
work
doctor in the
cafe.
house? Rips off apron.
Just in case that question ever comes up.
Yeah.
It's a long
Wow.
show.
Even if your barista said, "I'm definitely a doctor," you'd still be like, "Should you be doing this
Yeah.
tracheotomy?"
We're gonna call Triple O.
How long's it been since you practiced?
Right?
Yeah, I would be asking a few questions.
Get a bit
yeah.
rusty, wouldn't
Yeah.
you? Could he just get? I mean, hospitals have cafes.
That's true. Oh, that's true.
Then you still get
Can-
the parking permit
Yeah.
that you can say, yeah, I've got the. Actually, I think that lots of people that work at hospitals don't get free parking. My auntie's a
don't
nurse. She's brought that up before.
But you got your fake
Still-
stethoscope. You can wear that in the cafe.
Probably a security pass.
Security
that's
pass,
true.
yes.
Yeah. But gosh, I don't know. I guess when he's saying well over 65 is what he's implying. I could wait till he dies. Is
Yeah,
that what
that might
is
be
being
it.
implied here?
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he's
60
retired now.
I mean,
and-
65 is not that old.
It's
No, no.
not old. Not when you're a doctor
Not when you're
That's
a
right.
doctor.
with access to all of your friends' medical assistances.
We've
Just
seen
hope
it.
he never goes downstairs to the cafe in the hospital. Well, you have to pretend you're still a doctor. Working a shift.
You got to look. This is me. You got to say it. You
I
got
think
to.
so,
You
yeah.
got to come clean because what if he goes? I'll get you a an interview with one of my friends who's a consultant.
There you go. That's good. Or work in a cafe downstairs in a hospital.
No, I'm with Felicity. It's going to blow
You
up.
changed.
Test it out on mum first and
Yeah.
then get into it. Get your dad sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you are still living with your parents, I don't know if he said where.
I
he
don't
was
know.
living.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Make
Yeah.
sure you do get a rental agreement before. With somewhere else because you will be kicked out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's move on to the next confession that comes from gorgeous Josie. Josie confesses, I'm on a dating website for my own kicks. I have a lovely BF.
Ooh.
Just lovely. But I love the daily validation I get from being on such a website. This feels like a very old confession if you're saying website instead of apps.
Yeah.
Still on Plenty of Fish.
This smacks of somebody quite old, older than us, Felicity.
Oh,
Some-
well
Well
over
over
65.
It sounds like somebody well over 65 pretending to be a young person.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm a bit cool. I get it. I get all the cool
Read it
things.
from the start again and let's imagine it in a 70-year-old voice.
I'm on a dating website.
I'm on
for
a
my-
dating website
for my own kicks.
For my
for my
own-
own kicks.
That is like someone that's just Googled
I've
what do
got
kids
a
say now.
lovely boyfriend, just lovely.
His name's Alistair.
Each day it fills me with confidence that can hardly be ignored.
Oh.
Each and every day someone will comment and tell me how beautiful they find me, often commenting on my eyes and telling me I have very nice lips.
Do these
Don't like
always
your
feel?
nose.
Do these always feel like lies?
They
the
do.
confessions.
Absolutely. There's so much information in them as well, always, for some reason.
What they always, yeah, that's right. It's kind of the excess of information that makes
Yeah.
them seem the most phony.
Yeah.
But also, to me, it's more than them being lies. I'm just always struck by how much they sound like they were written at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I'll see if this will put me to sleep.
Yeah.
The fish called Kathy and my boyfriend is lovely.
The other week I got chatting to a guy and he was lovely. We got chatting and I find myself in many hours of the night going to the bathroom time and time again just so I can chat to him.
I've done that before. Not while I was with someone else, but going to a bathroom to chat with someone.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
just get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Well, I'm just getting attention from
Yeah.
someone. You're like, oh, someone's flirting with me. I'm going to go in another
off.
room,
Yeah.
right back. Then I'll go back to the party.
My BF had made popcorn and said he was watching a film and I didn't want to have anything to do with this. We weren't having stimulating conversations and I needed more. We've been having all kinds of chats through the night. I found myself on the bus home staying a few extra stops than I should because I was excited to chat to this man. I think as I write this, I know that it's wrong. I know that I'm not doing the right thing by any means. I know that if I told my best friend Paula, she would tell me I needed to tell him.
Paula, she's in her 50s. There's no one called Paula that is under 50.
She's playing bingo with Paula.
Literally used to have stand-up about the name Paula.
Oh, really?
There's no baby Paulas, and if you do have a baby and you call her Paula, you put it in a cupboard until she's 50, and then she can come out and be in middle management.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Or a receptionist at a law firm. Like you don't – I don't want to see a young Paula ever.
No. I've left him hanging. Oh, sorry. I do love him, and he's recently proposed.
Well, you'd open with that,
You
wouldn't
open with
you?
that.
Yeah.
I've left him hanging and left him without many options here. And I also told him that I will think about it, I will mull it over and get back to him by the end of the week. That does sound like a Paula response to
Yeah.
Get back to you.
I'm sorry, I'm not available at the moment. I'll get back to you to the end of the week. Paula.
COB.
COB.
I know that's not the most romantic thing to write on this site, but it's the truth.
So you mean no?
Yeah,
no is
basically
what you
she doesn't
mean.
want to marry him, yeah. The other night, I had this flash of horror. I realised that I think I've met this man before because I think he works in my BF's building. Oh, my word, I'm stressing out. This is an old person for
Oh,
sure.
my
Yeah.
word.
Oh my word, heavens to Betsy.
And I told Paula.
I said, boy.
I'm stressing out now and I don't know how to make it right. How do I make this right?
Leave your boyfriend.
Yeah.
The end.
Yep.
But I also understand when you're in a relationship and the sense of you think that the obligation will outweigh your want to cheat on them.
It won't.
Yes,
It won't.
yeah, yeah.
It won't.
As the incredible John Hastings said to me the other day, when has a breakup ever been a mistake? Like if you
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
if you're thinking, if you're like, maybe we should, that you should.
Yep.
I've thought that so many times and very rarely do it. I stay on for a long time. I was engaged when I was 24.
I was engaged when I was 23.
Hey.
Hey.
We got together when we were 18. Or when I was 18. He was 26.
Oh,
No, 25.
no. Oh, no.
Yeah. But
I mean, 7 years isn't that much, but you were barely legal.
yeah.
As the films call it.
As the films call it.
Films.
We had mutual friends. It was like he was also very, very. He was a lovely man. He was very quiet. He was a Christian and a drug addict, as I found out later. Christian drug addicts, very rare. A powerful combo. But there was a long time that I was like, is this him? Is this me? Is this us?
Yep.
And I would go in cycles of that.
Yeah, sure.
And then I was in other relationships where it was we really loved each other, but we were so incompatible.
Yeah,
And we just wanted it to work so much. And so that was, we stuck around in that relationship longer than we should have. Oh, that's him. He's just emptying the recycling.
Still with him. He's
Still with him.
Just
Yeah,
follows
yeah,
around.
Yeah. It's been 20 years now. And I think it's time.
Yeah, so staying around for this, like it looks like she's, they live together. They're in a relationship and obviously she doesn't want to marry him or anything and he's waiting end of week to find out.
COB Friday.
COB Friday.
Expect an answer COB Friday. It's
You gotta get
done
out.
and you know it, and
Yeah.
you're trying to get strangers to tell you it's done. You know it's done.
Yeah, you know it's done.
And here's the thing with a relationship like that poor guy who's just asked for her hand in marriage, right? Like that poor guy is just hanging on, but that relationship is stale enough that she's messing with it. You just got to break up and accept that you might lose the best thing that's happened to you, but staying is not going to make it okay. And then if you've made a mistake, then you see if you can repair it from there and you're going to come back stronger, but you cannot repair it from this point of stagnancy.
This is also very have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I want to do the right thing by him, by marrying him, but also I'm having an emotional affair.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have you been in a situation where you know it's over and you've just gone, right, it's over, I'm leaving?
I think so. Hang on. No, I think it's always been extremely painful because you're letting go. Like it's the grief of letting go of a future that you imagine together, and it's really powerful, really hard to cut off. So no matter how much you know it's over, it still messes you up so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've heard lots of people talk about like giving up the future that you imagine together. It's never that for me. It's always how I'm going to hurt the other person, how devastated they will be, how
she's a heartbreaker.
You know, and when I say heartbreaker, I mean I leave before they do, so I can't get hurt. But I don't have the sadness of the things that I won't have. It's the what am I going to do to them in the immediate.
So you stay around for a bit longer than you should.
And also how difficult it will be to change.
Yeah, I also feel like there's a little bit of, and this sounds ridiculous, a little bit of feeling foolish for having thought this was a thing that was worth investing in, and then having to admit that the thing you told the world was worth investing in wasn't worth investing in. I think a
we
lot
were
of
2 weeks
people-
away from getting married.
Wow.
That's not when we broke up. This is my first long term.
Yeah, we called off the wedding 3 weeks before the wedding.
Why did you?
How have we not had this
How have
conversation?
we not had this
That's why you got a combo on the Comedy Festival website. That's the reason. Yeah.
This is. I mean, neither of us talk about this in the show, but this is bizarre.
I didn't know you'd called off a wedding because I thought 3 weeks was quite close, although it felt right at the time.
So we didn't call it off. The place that we were having the reception called it off.
What?
Yeah.
They said it's not going to work.
So basically we were getting married on the beach.
Brutal.
Yeah, they're like, we don't know you, but this feels bad. You're a bad combination. This is not a compatible. And then we were having the reception at a house, and then they got so nervous that there was going to be too many people, and they're like, you need this kind of insurance, and it was going to cost us $2,000, and this is back in 2004, 5, something like that, we just didn't have the money, so we had to cancel it or postpone it, and then 2 weeks before our 8-year anniversary, I left him. It was a year later.
So
50 weeks later, because it was we were going to get married on our anniversary on Valentine's Day. And 2 weeks before that, I was like, I just kept going, just get to the 8, just get to the,
Yeah.
No.
And it was just cooked. It was absolutely done. I have spoken about this many times, but it was the decision was made for me, like on a universal level. And I don't mean amongst everyone. I mean the universe literally said it is over. And everyone's like, it's so brave that you left. I'm like, it wasn't a decision. It was like it was taken out of my hands. It was so final in my head, my heart. Like I couldn't go back to the house. It was just, I had one moment and it was done.
Wow. Did you start planning again straight away? Like was there, or you just kind of after that took a breath and just went, we're not going to.
What do you mean planning?
Planning for the wedding again. Like were you like, we're going to book the reception place again and we're going to.
Well, we were angry for a while, very angry at the reception place. And then I got another series of a sketch show that I was doing. And I thought, look, it was so hectic trying to plan this wedding while we were doing the show. So I don't want a wedding anywhere near the show.
Sure.
Which was also me going, I need more space.
Yep.
And then that finished. And then I'd started therapy and I was like, oh, no. And I had a drinking problem. There was a lot going on. A lot going on. And so, I just sort of had a moment of, had a literal like movie moment of clarity. And it was just done. And I moved out. Then I went and told my best friend. And then she said, before you tell him, why don't you come and stay at my house tonight? Think about it. Have a sleep. If you still feel the same in the morning, then you can talk to him about it. Mm-hmm. And I did.
Wow.
And then I moved into her house that night.
Lovely Paula,
yeah.
Wow. And you were 3 weeks before. Was it 3 weeks?
Yeah, and we also stayed together after calling off the wedding because I, not for like less than a year, probably only. I'm trying to think of how long we stayed together, like something like 6 months longer.
And you called off the wedding because it didn't feel right?
Didn't feel right, but didn't know that meant that the relationship wasn't right. Yeah. And to be fair, it might not have, like for some people not wanting to get married it can be a separate thing from the relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I still want to wake up next to this person every morning for the rest of my life, but I just don't. I don't fancy that. I was having having flashes of myself being under a bush in a wedding dress, refusing to come out. People were
Okay.
like, come on, it's time to get married. I'm like, no. Like that's how much I
Like,
was
what could that dream
imagining.
mean? We're going to go through with it.
I was like,
I think it
definitely.
means good decision, I think.
Definitely
Nailing it.
don't want to. I'm like, I definitely have cold feet. Don't want to get married,
Yeah.
but we stayed together a bit longer.
When he proposed, had my life flash before my eyes.
Ooh.
I was like,
Wow.
that's something to notice.
Yeah, he wasn't in it. That's weird. You weren't in any of this.
That's weird. I had like all the relationships which is I would be in one, but like all these different moments in my life and all these different things that I wouldn't do.
Wow.
Because I was getting married. Wow. Yeah. Because he was, this tells you everything you need to know. The only person I'd ever slept with. Don't get married to the only person you've ever slept with.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions, but I would say as a rule, don't.
Experience things.
Go and fuck a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because I left him when I was 26 and I gave up alcohol. So then I had to have my slutty years sober.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I had to have sober one-night stands.
Wow.
I believe in you.
Oh, yeah, I've done it. I've done it many times. Not many times. That's an absolute lie. I've done it a handful of times.
Now, in this situation with our friend, do you say that she just needs to basically get out of the relationship? That's what we're saying. Get out.
She knows.
See what
it.
happens.
Yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not
so
you
over.
are brave enough to.
And admittedly, it's going to be hard. It is hard dating on the websites when you're in your 60s.
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
I believe in Josie.
I
believe in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get Paula on the phone. Just say, we need to talk.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I reckon.
Now,
I
look,
reckon she's got a future with Paula.
Maybe she's a little latent bisexual, like this guy.
Yeah.
we've got one more confession today from Cameron. It wasn't the dog that did the dirty at the family picnic.
Oh, no.
It was me, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that I was that guy. I can't apologise enough. Here's what happened. I had to go to my family picnic. I'm a pretty regular dad of 3 and I adore my family.
What does regular mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In the
I think
context
bowel
of this,
movements,
yeah.
or what are we talking about?
Yeah.
I had a big night with the boys the night before, and we mean big night. We were doing shots, we were having all kinds of drinks, and one of my mates ended up taking us to a restaurant with really rare squid.
Rare squid.
Cooked.
don't-
I would say cooked rare.
Cooked.
Like
I hope
undercooked
so.
is what he
Yeah.
means.
I think undercooked squid.
Rather than a squid that's endangered.
Endangered squid.
Endangered.
We're eating endangered
Yeah,
squid.
we're eating.
Just before a picnic, a family picnic the next day. Let's go out for endangered squid. We were all sitting there laughing and having the best time.
Okay.
Over the course of the night, I kept thinking about the next day and that I had to be up early. And there's something in you that moment when you think it'll probably be better in 20 to 30 minutes. More drinking and more rare squid, more endangered squid.
More endangered squid.
You'll probably feel better when you wake up. All of us were feeling rotten, but I pushed through and went to the barbecue.
Good for him.
There were no bathrooms around in the big park, and then I ended up needing to go desperately, so I squatted behind a bush. Mm-hmm. A local passerby had seen me and was glaring at me, which I think is all fair. Mm-hmm. One of our friends had a dog, and so I called out to them later, so they thought that their dog had left some business over there.
Fine.
I didn't actually think they would go and pick it up, but I was so wrong. They did, and that was that. I feel so bad at the time, and now I don't know if I can truthfully tell my friend what actually happened. I can't think of a single other thing, and it's taking over my mind. I know that you probably think I should leave it and not bring it up again. I love it when they start to say, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You don't
Why are
know.
you here, mate?
Why are you here? But I'm a really good friend, and I strongly believe that I would want to know if it happened to me.
Really? No. I
don't think
actually pointed out to Claire where I shat in public at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. Didn't I?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah, I shat behind a bush.
Oh, right.
It was
After
not,
some rare squid?
after some rare squid. It was actually after I'd been pescatarian for a while and then had my first night back on the beef. Not a euphemism. Not a euphemism. And I went to an Argentinian restaurant in Adelaide.
Okay.
And then I was walking home. I'm like, ooh, can I make it back to the pub? I went, you know what? You can make it home. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then I walked through the park, very poorly lit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to make it home or back to the pub or to the Argentinian restaurant. So this is happening right now.
Yeah. Wasn't during the Adelaide French?
It was during the Adelaide.
was during
Yeah,
the yeah.
I protest the use of the word park. That was just a little bit of corporate garden.
Yeah, it was a bit of
corporate.
it's a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a green belt in front of like an old fire engine station. Yeah. It's not there's no
It's not
playground.
where the children play.
No. It's not spacious.
Yeah,
It's literally a green area that's a bit bigger than a median strip.
But it was enough at the time.
It was all I needed. It's all I had.
It's all you had at the time. There weren't options.
Yeah. So, and I tell people now, but the
Yeah.
deep shame that I had going, I couldn't make it home. I have irritable
Yeah.
bowel syndrome. Duh. And so it was very shameful. There is no way I would have said anything. Having said that, I did go on the project last night and talk about how I had to do a poo in a waste paper bin
But in your own home.
in my own home. That's right.
Yeah. And that's a story to tell. That's your story to tell. I think this is the issue with this is that someone else has picked it up where he's like, do I have to, like this has happened to someone else. He's going, should I tell this person? I don't think this person would ever want to know.
No. And let me make you feel better with another story. I'm so disgusting. When I was 17, I got hammered at a friend's party and there was 2 toilets, I think, at this house and I needed to do a wee. And I went downstairs and there was a long line and then I went upstairs and there was a long line. Now, I'm from a national park, so I'm like, I'm just going to go in the garden. So I go outside, everyone's there. It's very well lit. I'm like, God damn it. I go into the front garden. Everyone's there. There is
Like Batman with the bomb, you know, in that scene where he's like holding the bomb
there
and
is
there's ducks.
nowhere that I can piss. I am off my head. I'm very, very drunk. Her grandma lived with her in like a little part, like an extra part of the house. And in her kitchen, there was a drain on the floor. And so I pissed in the drain and then whatever was left over, there was like a welcome mat and I like soaked it up with the welcome mat and then I put the mat in the sink and rinsed it off and left it there. And then in the morning they were like, what's the welcome mat doing in the sink? I'm like, I don't know. And
Wild party, guys.
never told her that. I'd say keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I think keep it to yourself.
Tell it in a podcast in 30 years'
Yeah,
time.
I think in a long time that's going to be a fun story for
Yeah,
him to tell.
yeah.
Maybe. The way he writes, maybe not.
Yeah, no, it
could
will be.
a
It
funny
will be.
story. Yeah.
It does sound like somebody's open mic set, doesn't it?
Yeah. Also, though, you can tell the difference between a human and a dog shit.
Absolutely,
And if it's if it's a big night, there's no way that that's solid enough to pick up with a plastic bag.
No, it's not an endangered squid.
Not with the endangered squid, mate. And AGB has no structural integrity. Do you know AGB? I just remembered that's after Grog Bog. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that phrase?
I remember
Did
it
that kick
now.
around?
I never,
Yeah,
never
I think
shortened it to AGB.
Well, that's what the Central Coast does to you. We're a classy people.
What about you, Claire Hooper? What would you do in this situation? You're not saying anything?
Yeah, I get that it's tormenting you. And it might be fun to tell your friend, but also your friend doesn't remember this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as in, if you've got a dog, you've picked up so many shits
Yeah.
that it is not a memorable thing. So it's not like this is, you know, like
I don't remember every
you're
one of my
actually
dog
going to
shits.
have to you're going to have to walk them all the way through to the actual shit because
Yeah.
they won't even remember the
Yeah,
shit. It's
yeah.
like that's a lot of legwork to do just to get the confession off your chest. You did it. It's your problem. I'm sorry you're focused on it, but your friend doesn't need to know.
No.
100%.
They've moved on.
This is about you and your guilt and shame, and you're going to put it on your friend, and they don't want to know.
No.
They don't need to know.
No,
it will
it's not
change
gonna
nothing.
make their
It's
life
about you.
better.
It's a self-centered confession.
It is. Yeah.
You're just going to have to cop it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just leave it.
Just
Leave it.
cop it like an endangered squid.
Yeah.
That's all right. At the end of that, we had 3 lovely confessions from 3 lovely people.
Lovely.
If you wanted to cast one of these as a major motion picture, which one do you think springs out the most? You've got slim pickings, really.
Oh,
You've
well, it's absolutely the young man of 34 who's
Lying to
pretending
you.
to be a doctor.
yeah.
The Shit in the Park is a short film.
It is. Yeah,
That hasn't
absolutely.
got a movie.
Oh, so it is, as I said, any open mic night.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Melbourne, you're going to get it. And then somebody thought it was a dog poo and picked it up. That does happen on
Yeah.
open
Yeah, that's
mic
right.
stages
Yeah.
pretty much every night.
Is this thing on? No, that's Dave. So, who do you think would play the role of Dave? Would you think a Dave Lawson type? Just thinking of Dave.
Oh, that's a good call.
Lawson could do it easily. No, I don't think we have much choice in casting. We can really try and cast the net wide and see who sees
Is this an
interested.
Australian film?
It's an Australian film.
Yeah, I
It
think
is.
so.
He's
Okay.
lying. Well,
Let's make it Aaron Gox.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
I'm in. I'll watch that.
Can we call it the After Gox Bog? Something like that.
AGB.
Yeah, AGB. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wouldn't we call it Gokta Gokta?
Oh, that's good. Gokta Gokta. and his name is Aaron Cox in it. Yeah. What about the dad? Who do you think would be Aaron Cox's dad? He's disapproving.
Shane Bourne.
Oh, this
Oh,
is good.
lovely.
Shane Bourne and Aaron Cox in Gokta Gokta. That's actually a perfect film. Yeah. Felicity, if people want to come and see your...
I'm so sorry. I didn't let Felicity cast the movie at all.
That's all right. I think I've spoken enough. I think I've been very chatty. I just went, oh, mate, you got to let Claire talk. You just haven't taken breath.
The best
I love
movie.
Gokta Gokta. I think it's going to be a real hit.
Yeah.
Felicity, if people want to find you and they want to come and see your show tonight or until Sunday at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and then Sydney, and then are you going
And
to
then
Brisbane
Perth
as well?
and then Brisbane.
Perth and Brisbane.
Yes,
How do people find you whenever?
FelicityWard.com. All the
All the
tickets
tour
there,
dates.
babe.
Oh my
go
goodness.
to my Instagram and it's all on Linktree there.
Yeah.
All the situation.
All the situation. Claire Hooper, how do people find your wonderful show?
Well, you can look at the Claire Hooper on Instagram. I'm sure that it's a pretty easy Google.
Yep. Okay.
Oh yeah, don't give the people
Yeah,
any
that's
more
it,
than they
that's-
need. Don't lead them there.
No, I want
put
you
it in
to
the show
want it.
notes.
I want you to want it enough.
Yeah,
But also,
yeah,
I
okay.
do desperately want you there. Please come.
Especially tonight.
And I'm the worst with Claire Hooper. That's why.
Oh yeah, listen to I'm the worst. Listen to Sammy Peterson's first. It's probably the best episode ever.
Best episode ever. Wow. That is high
Probably.
praise. And probably, yeah. I feel like John Hastings at the end of that. That was the best podcast ever.
We'll have to tell him to listen to it. But
Yeah,
there's just like a
absolutely, yeah.
10-minute dedication to him.
Yeah.
And
How much we love John Hastings.
Felicity Ward, thank you so much for joining me on the
Thanks for having
podcast. Claire Hooper, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Good night, Australia.
good night.
Thank